All right, so are you ready to dive into this? We're going to be talking about learning English faster.
Faster.
Yeah, and we've got a ton of really cool resources here.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, it is going to be fun. Like, we're talking about mnemonic devices
Oh, yeah.
with, like, giraffes on unicycles, turning your house into a giant English vocabulary word game with sticky notes.
I love that.
Yeah,
That's so creative.
it is.
I mean, what's so cool is these sources, they kind of like ditch that whole intense like language core has got to,
Right.
buckle down. It's like, no, they focus on like small, consistent steps.
Okay.
It's like, building a skyscraper, you lay one brick at a time
Oh, I like that.
consistently.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you have this incredible structure.
Yeah.
So every word you learn, it's like another brick in your fluency tower.
That's such a good analogy. I love that. But let's be real for a second. The idea of speaking another language, like for a lot of people, it can be really intimidating.
Oh, absolutely.
We've all been there where you're like fumbling for the words and you're just like, oh my gosh, everybody's judging me.
Yeah, you feel so self-conscious.
So self-conscious. So how do we even begin to overcome that fear?
These sources, they really tackle that head on. And they really emphasize that perfection is not the goal.
Okay.
They kind of say, think of it more like learning to ride a bike.
Yeah.
You're going to wobble, you might even fall a few times.
Right.
But the more you practice, the more confident you become.
Yeah.
It's like anything, right?
Yeah. So it's all about like embracing those messy early stages and just focusing on progress over perfection.
Yeah.
But okay, so how do we actually get to that point where we're like comfortable speaking?
Yeah.
Is it really as simple as like talking to yourself in English? Because I gotta say, that sounds kind of crazy.
Yeah, it might sound strange, but it's surprisingly effective.
Okay.
It's like having this private rehearsal space.
Yeah.
For your English skills.
Sure.
So you can like narrate your day, describe what you see, even have like imaginary conversations in your head.
Okay.
In English.
Yeah.
And it's just to get those words flowing out loud.
Okay, I'm starting to see how that could build confidence. But what about when you are ready to actually speak with other people?
Yeah.
Any tips on finding language partners?
Oh, yeah. There's so many.
Okay.
There are great platforms like italki. So imagine like having a conversation partner in another country who is like just as eager to learn your language as you are to learn theirs.
Right.
So platforms like italki connect you
Oh, that's cool.
with this global community of learners.
That's awesome.
And then also don't underestimate the power of like local conversation exchange groups.
Yeah.
Or even like online language communities. There's so many like Facebook groups and different things like that.
Yeah.
And then, there's this really cool technique that I read about in one of the sources called shadowing.
Oh, tell me about it.
Oh, have you heard of this?
I have. Okay. Yeah, tell me more about it.
So it's basically you listen to like a podcast
Okay.
or watch a video and you try to repeat exactly what they're saying,
Okay.
matching their pronunciation, their intonation. It's like training your mouth and brain to work together
Gotcha.
in this new language.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk about vocabulary.
Okay.
I gotta admit, I was totally hooked by that giraffe on a unicycle example to remember the word unique.
Yes.
Tell me more about mnemonics.
They're so powerful.
They are.
And the research is clear. Like we learn best when we're having fun.
Okay.
Our brains are wired to remember things that are emotionally engaging.
Okay.
Especially if they're like unusual or humorous.
Right.
So ditch the boring textbooks. Like embrace the power of play when you're learning vocabulary.
So creating those vivid and sometimes silly images can actually help us learn faster. That's really cool. So what are some other like fun ways to make vocabulary stick?
Oh, I love this. One of the sources had this idea called the sticky note challenge.
Okay.
I know it sounds a little quirky.
Yeah.
But imagine like labeling everything in your house.
Okay.
With a sticky note. So like your fridge becomes refrigerator, your lamp becomes lamp.
Okay.
You're literally like living in this English speaking world.
That's so cool.
Yeah, you're surrounded by it.
It's like turning your everyday environment into like a giant vocabulary game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
You're not sitting there with flashcards.
Yeah.
You're actually like interacting with the language.
Right, yeah.
In a really fun way.
And I know there's some serious science behind why that works.
Oh, absolutely. Spaced repetition.
Yeah. Tell me more about that.
Okay. So it's a technique that involves reviewing information at increasing intervals.
Okay.
So every time you revisit a word, you're strengthening the neural pathways in your brain associated with that word, making it more likely to stick in your long-term memory.
So it's not just about cramming a bunch of words. It's about strategically spacing it out.
Yeah.
To make those words truly stick.
Right. And it's so much more effective than just like rote memorization.
Okay. I'm guessing there's an app for that.
Of course there's an app for that.
Of course.
That's kind of key. It's a fantastic app.
Okay.
Designed specifically for spaced repetition.
Awesome.
And it takes the guesswork out of like when to review.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm already feeling so inspired. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's unpack another crucial aspect of language learning.
Yes.
Mastering those tricky idioms and expressions.
Ah, idioms.
Yes.
They're the secret code to sounding more like a native speaker.
Okay.
So instead of just saying something is easy,
right,
you can say it's a piece of cake.
Piece of cake.
Yeah.
Got it.
They add like color, personality, like a little bit of cultural flair to your language.
Okay.
But to really master them, we need to dive a little deeper.
All right, I'm all ears. Let's unlock the secrets of idioms and how they can help us sound more natural and fluent in English.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we've talked about some really cool techniques, boosting vocabulary, getting comfortable speaking, but these sources, they also highlight the importance of idioms.
Yes.
Those quirky little expressions. I'm ready to go beyond piece of cake. What are some other idioms that we could use?
Well, think of idioms like cultural metaphors.
Oh.
Right? So instead of saying I'm very busy, you could say I'm snowed under.
Snowed under.
Right.
I like that, yeah.
It paints a picture.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, snowed under. I like that.
And it gives your language a more authentic feel.
Okay, so where can we discover these hidden gems of the English language? Where do we find these?
Oh, idioms are everywhere.
Okay.
Like, pay attention when you're watching movies or TV shows. Listen to how people speak in English podcasts or music.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
You'll start to notice these like recurring phrases that add color and personality.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to, jot them down. Try using them yourself.
Okay.
The more you practice, the more natural they'll become.
Yeah. All of these techniques sound amazing. But I know from experience that learning a language can be kind of a roller coaster.
Oh, absolutely.
You have days where you're like super motivated, and then other days where you just want to hit the snooze button on your language learning app. So how do these sources address that? Like, what do they say about motivation?
Well, one thing they really emphasize is the importance of finding what works for you.
Okay.
There's no like one-size-fits-all approach to language learning.
Right. Yeah.
It's like figuring out your own learning style.
Okay.
Right. Some people thrive on like structure, lessons, repetition,
Right.
Others need more creativity, flexibility.
So it's about being a language learning detective.
Exactly.
And figuring out like what sparks your enthusiasm, what keeps you engaged.
Yeah, what makes it fun for you?
Yeah. Okay. So what are some practical tips for staying motivated when the going gets tough?
One powerful technique is to like connect your language learning to a specific goal.
Okay.
Like, why are you learning English in the first place?
Right.
Is it to travel the world?
Yeah.
Connect with people from different cultures?
Right.
Advance your career, or just like challenge yourself?
Yeah. Having that clear vision, that why, can be a real game changer.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then, when you do hit those inevitable bumps in the road,
right,
remember to celebrate your progress.
Okay, yeah.
No matter how small.
Okay.
Did you learn 5 new words today? Fantastic.
Yeah.
Did you finally nail that tricky grammar rule? High five.
Yeah.
Every step forward is a victory.
I love that. Yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in what we haven't achieved yet, and we forget to acknowledge how far we've come.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's take a moment to celebrate those small wins.
Yes.
Those little sparks of progress.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So another powerful strategy, embracing the power of immersion.
Yeah.
Right?
Immersion.
It's like creating your own little English speaking bubble in your life. And it doesn't have to be anything drastic. Start by switching your phone and social media settings to English.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Right.
Super easy.
Listen to English podcasts while you're commuting or exercising.
Right.
I remember one of the sources recommended watching movies and TV shows in English.
Yes.
Even if it means starting with subtitles.
Absolutely. And don't underestimate the power of journaling in English.
Journaling.
Even if you just write like a few sentences each day,
yeah,
it helps to solidify what you're learning and gets you comfortable expressing yourself in writing.
It's like weaving English into the fabric of your daily routine. The more you expose yourself to the language, the faster you'll progress.
Yeah.
But how do we take that immersion to the next level?
The sources encourage learners to like step outside their comfort zones a little bit. So it could be as simple as like striking up a conversation with a native English speaker at a coffee shop, or attending an event where English is spoken. Putting yourself out there a little bit.
It's nerve-wracking at first, but it's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
It's like suddenly realizing that you can understand and be understood. Like all of those vocabulary words and grammar rules are coming together.
It clicks.
Yeah.
And you might even surprise yourself with how much you've learned.
Yeah. Those are the moments that make all the hard work worth it.
Absolutely.
It's like unlocking a secret code.
Yeah.
And this whole new world opens up. But there's one final aspect of language learning that I really am curious to explore. Yeah.
And it's something that goes beyond just like the vocabulary and grammar and pronunciation.
Yeah.
It's something deeper.
You're talking about that deeper level of understanding.
Yeah.
The ability to like connect with other cultures and see the world through a different lens. And that's what we'll dive into after a short break.
Stay tuned. So we've explored some really practical tips for like mastering English.
Yeah.
You know, everything from mnemonics to shadowing to embracing those glorious idioms. But as we were like digging into these sources, it just became so clear that language learning, it's about so much more than just acquiring a skill.
Right. It really is. It's more like embarking on this journey of self-discovery.
Oh, okay.
Each language, it carries like a unique history, culture, and way of seeing the world.
Right.
So when you learn English, you're not just learning words, you're gaining this whole new perspective.
It's like opening a door to a whole new world of thought, right?
Exactly.
You can explore literature, films, music, connect with people from all walks of life.
In a way that you couldn't before.
Imagine like reading Shakespeare in the original language.
Wow.
Or finally understanding the nuances of those British comedies that you love.
Yeah.
It deepens your appreciation and it lets you connect with the material on a whole new level.
It's like the difference between looking at a painting and actually stepping inside of it.
That's a great way to put it.
You know, you're not just observing the culture, you're experiencing it.
In today's like interconnected world, that kind of cross-cultural understanding is more important than ever.
Yeah, I agree.
The ability to communicate across languages, it builds bridges, it fosters empathy, it breaks down barriers.
So it's not just about adding another language to your resume.
No.
It's about becoming like a citizen of the world.
Exactly.
Expanding your horizons, embracing the beauty of human diversity.
Think about the possibilities.
Yeah.
Traveling to an English-speaking country and having a genuine conversation with locals, making friends from all over the world, or even like working in an international setting.
It's amazing to think that learning English can open up so many doors, both personally and professionally.
It really can.
It's about more than just fluency. It's about connection, understanding, and broadening our perspectives.
Absolutely. And remember, this journey is yours to define.
Okay.
Set your own pace, celebrate your achievements, and don't be afraid to make mistakes along the way.
Yeah.
Embrace the challenge and have fun with it.
So we've reached the end of our deep dive into learning English faster, and I don't know about you, but I am feeling incredibly inspired. So to our listener out there who is ready to take on this adventure, remember, the world is waiting to hear your voice.